It's Miss Kim again from Naturally STEM. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have a lot of fun today because, the weather's changing outside and it's getting colder. So my question to you today is, how do animals stay warm? And let's start with us first because we're a mammal, right? So how do we as humans, how do we stay warm? Can you give me a couple of ideas? That's right, I like that first one. We can always put clothes on, can't we? I can put a hat on, I can put a coat on, put gloves and extra clothes on. What other ways can we stay warm? Well, let me ask you this. When you get really cold, do you like to go find a best friend or your mom or dad or grandma and grandpa or maybe even a brother and sister and just snuggle, 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 snuggle? Well, absolutely. That is a wonderful way to stay warm. All humans like to snuggle together to stay warm. What is another way, do you think? Let me ask you this. When you get cold, does your body, all by itself, without you doing it, start shivering? Woo! Yeah? Everybody's does, because that means we're warm-blooded. That's what that tells us. It means our body from inside, that's where we get our heat. When we eat food, we move around, we make a lot of energy, and that energy warms our body up. So when we're laying and we're sleeping or we're not doing a whole lot and we start to get cold, whoa, our body just starts to shiver and move for us, making some energy and some heat inside to help us stay warm. And that's what it means to be warm-blooded. We get our heat from inside our body, which is wonderful. And there's one other thing that we do. Can you guys think of that? And let me ask you this question. Do we as humans just live outside? No, we make shelters. This is the shelter I made today. That's why I made it, because we need some shelter to stay warm. This is out here in my garage and I'm liking it. I think I'm gonna have a sleep out tonight. I like it, right? So that's how humans stay warm. So I wonder how the animals out in nature stay warm. What do you think? Would you like to explore that with me? Beautiful. Well, let's go ahead and start with the mammal group since we are mammals. Just like my friends right here, I have my bobcat. Ooh, he's a gorgeous fellow right there. I have my fox. And we are all mammals, you can tell, because we all have fur. Well, look at my fur right here. I got some long fur. Do you have long fur or do you have short fur? I got my raccoon. And we got little stinky Pepe Le Pew right here. We got our skunk. So these are all in the mammal group. Now, what do you think that these guys can do? Can they put on extra clothes? No. Can they huddle together? Well, some of them do, like squirrels and bats. They will climb up into the trees and they'll go inside the cavities of the tree. And those squirrels, they'll get together in their little families and they will hug and they will snuggle in their little nest in there and they will be nice and warm for the winter season. They'll go to sleep, but then they'll get back out and they'll run around and they'll do what they need to do. But they like to huddle together right inside the cavity of that tree. So that's an awesome thing. So sometimes mammals huddle together, and some animals hibernate, like the bears and the woodchucks. They will hibernate for the winter, and what that means is they will go into a deep sleep, and it will be very hard for them to wake up. They can, but it'll be very hard. They will lower their heart rate, their blood pressure, the metabolism. So everything inside their body slows way, way, way down, and that lets them go to sleep. And all of the fat that they have on their bodies from eating all summer long, those fat reserves, is what they live on to help them sleep through the winter. So those are really cool. What else do mammals do? We see this wonderful fur that they have. This is really cool. This is an adaptation for mammals and birds, which is really cool as well. What they do is they have their hair, and they have the ability to hold that hair up, allows the air to catch in between the hairs in their skin, and it kind of puffs them up and gives them an added layer of warmth or insulation. So that will keep them warm. Another thing that they have is hollow hair. So the air can actually get inside the hair as well as underneath it. And that is another layer of insulation. So animals, mammals with fur can catch the air in between and then catch them inside the hair itself, and gives them a double dose of insulation. Very, very cool. So what else do mammals do? One more thing, just like us. Do they live outside? Well, they live in nature, but do they just live out there in the open with no shelter? You bet. They will go find shelter of many kinds. They will burrow, it just depends on what it is. A raccoon will climb up into that tree and he will live inside that cavity, as well as the squirrels do. Sometimes you'll find them in the attic of your house. They like to find caves sometimes. There are mammals that like brush piles. So depending on what animal it is, they will find shelter of some kind. I like it. Let's move on to some birds. How do birds stay warm? Well, the first thing birds do, because they're also warm-blooded, so they can shiver. And when they start to shiver, they go, oh, it's too cold for me here. So what do some of them do? That's right. Some of them fly away or migrate to warmer weather. Usually that means south. So the weather is warmer down there, so they will fly to wherever they need to go. And they go just as far as they have to go, because that takes a lot of energy. So like my hummingbird right here, if he's staying here for the winter, he will go into a torpor, and he can do that every day. So a hibernation is a deep sleep that you sleep all the time. Torpor is where you can lower your body temperature and go to a light sleep, but you can wake up every day, get food, do what you need to do, and then go back to sleep when you lower your heart rate. What's really cool about hummingbirds is that normally their heartbeat is like 1,260 beats per minute. You and I have about 60 beats per minute, and they have 1,260 beats per minute. But when they go down into torpor, or that very light sleep, then their heart rate will fall down to about 50 to 150 beats per minute. So they'll come down to about our level instead of where they're normally at. Right? Some woodpeckers might not migrate. They might stay here all year round. So one thing they do is they make really awesome holes. This is one of their house holes, and then you know that they peck as well. So they have their home and they have their food all in one place. Can't get any better than that. Let's just like going to a hotel or something. I like it. Okay, so they will stay here, and they will stay in the tree cavities as well, but they also have that ability, like mammals, to be able to puff up and catch that air underneath their feathers. So they have lots of feathers. Picture birds, they have lots of feathers, and if you see them in the wintertime and look puffy, that's because they got their extra coat on. They've puffed up their feathers. They've let the air come through there. They caught it in between the layers of feathers, and that just means that they have added extra warmth. There you go. I lost my words for a minute. Do you think that birds like to cuddle? They do. They will huddle just like we do to stay warm as well. They will also preen their feathers. So when you see the birds taking their beak and just kind of going through this like this in their feathers, they are preening. What happens is at the base of their tail, they have a gland that excretes a little bit of oil. And so they will preen with their beak, and they will put that oil on their feathers, and it's waterproof. So they have a couple of different ways. So they migrate, they puff up, they preen, they cuddle. You will see some like your water birds, so think geese and great blue herons. Have you ever seen them in the wintertime when they only stand on one foot? Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're pulling one foot up and they're pulling it close to their body to help it stay warm. And then they will do the same to the next foot. So they'll do this and this and this and this. And that just helps them stay warm. You'll see them also, so think of a duck. And you've seen them in the winter like that. They will put their beak underneath their wing to help their beak stay warm. So they will do everything that they can to stay warm as well. And what is the last thing that they will do? Will they stay out in just the open area, or will they build a nest? Here is a hummingbird nest right here. And the woodpecker, hole, so cavity. So very different types of homes or shelters for them, but they will always go find shelter. Let's talk about insects. What do insects do to stay warm in the wintertime? Do they stay here? Well, some migrate. Remember, think of monarch butterflies. And did you know dragonflies will migrate too? They will go as far as they need to go to stay warm, and that's as far as they'll go, but they will migrate so they can stay alive. Unfortunately, there are some insects who don't overwinter. The adults will lay their eggs, they will die off, and then in the springtime, their babies will hatch. This is an example. These are on oak leaves, and these are just cocoons, and I'm not quite sure what kind they are, but you will only find them on oak leaves. So there's some kind of bug that really loves oak trees. But these guys will stay right here in this cocoon all winter long. And then in the springtime, you will see a little hole here, and it'll empty whatever it is in there. He will come on out. This is a different kind of insect gall that will do the same thing. They will put their chemical inside the limb here, and then lay their eggs inside here. So these are another type of cocoon of some type for an insect that will overwinter. Here is a really cool fact. Did you know that this is a paper wasp nest? And if you touch it, it feels just like paper. If you listen, it's got that pretty fragile sound just like paper, and that's exactly, it's a chemical. Here's how I teach chemistry in nature. It's that wasp, mama wasp, or the worker wasp will take a bit of bark from a tree, take a bit of bark here, put it in his mouth, chew it up, and then that chemical reaction between the spit and that bark, two substances, mixed it together, we make a new substance, and that is this substance right here, in which they make their nest with. What's really cool is, unfortunately, most of the wasps will die. The only ones that will stay alive are the queens, and they will find a rock crevice, or they'll climb up underneath the bark here, and they'll overwinter there. They'll go down into the ground, so they'll find places to overwinter. They'll find shelters, and then in the springtime, 3 or 4 queen wasps will get together, and they will start making brand new wasp nests so they can have babies. How awesome! And I like to show you this because a lot of people don't know. But there are a lot of insects that will overwinter underneath the bark. So this is a piece of bark off of a tree that I got, and I got it for the inside. Can you guys, my friends, see all these wonderful patterns back under here? And if you would look really closely, and I can't show you real close, but if you could look really closely, I have fat ones and I have skinny ones. I have some going in straight line and some going wiggly lines. So that tells me I have different kinds of insect larvae or babies that stay there. So mama will come and she'll take her long tail, it's called an ovipositor, and she will inject it into the wood, and underneath she will lay her eggs. Those eggs will hatch, and then they will stay here over winter and just eat their way through the bark. And when it's springtime, they will come through the bark and away they go. It is really cool how it happens. So insects will stay here. They will migrate. They will definitely find shelter, won't they? So insects, they're pretty diverse as well. That is really cool. When they don't hibernate and they don't go into torpor, but when they do go into a sleep, that's called diapause. So mammals will hibernate and insects will have diapause. Okay, does that make sense? Very good, very good, very good. Let's move on real quick because I have just a couple things left over, and then we're going to do a couple of fun activities together. We're going to move on to the amphibians and the reptiles. They are both cold-blooded, so how do they have to get their heat? Beautiful. From the environment around them. So whatever rock or log or whatever they got that they can see and the sun has beat down on it, then they are going to be really nice and warm. So when it's a nice sunny day and it's warm enough for them to come out, they will do that. So they'll bask. That's what that's called. What else will they do? They will huddle together as well. Some of them. If you see something like this, and of course they're not real, but this is my snake huddle. So snakes will actually huddle together. They are not usually a social animal, but when it gets really cold, then you will find diamondback rattlesnakes, copperheads, water moccasins, things like that, garter snakes. They will all just come together and huddle together like that and just be nice and warm, just like we are. They will do the same thing, huddling together. My turtles, I have a water turtle and I have a land turtle. If you can tell the difference in the shell, see how flat this one is and how round this one is? This tells me the difference between a water and a land turtle. My flatter shell is a water turtle because it makes it very streamlined to go and swim in the water. And my land turtle has this big domed shape, and they're called a box turtle because they can box all of their body in on this hinge right here, folds it in, and that protects the land turtle, where my water turtle has a fixed shell and will not do that. So based on their shells will tell me water turtle from land turtle, but they will both do the same thing to stay warm in the winter time, is that they like to burrow. The difference is my water turtle is going to burrow into the mud underneath the water. So he'll go down at the bottom of the lake or the pond, and he will burrow into the mud down there, and he'll make him a little pocket in there, and in that pocket he will have enough air that he can overwinter. This guy will do the same thing, or girl, or whoever she is. They like to burrow into the soil on land, and they will have their little burrow underneath the ground, and they are nice and warm in there. So they are burrowing animals. That's one of the ways that they stay warm. And what's really cool about frogs, some frogs, like the wood frog or the spring peeper, which are little tree frogs, they can actually make their own antifreeze. So it's a chemical inside their body that if the weather gets really, really cold, they have antifreeze inside there that will help keep all of their liquids and stuff stay warm. But they can actually freeze, and then in the springtime can unfreeze. So they have an adaptation that is as really, really weird as I've ever heard, but it is also very cool. I have a friend right here that comes with me quite often, and he likes to stay warm by me. So this is Harvey. Hi, Harvey. Come, my friend. So this is Harvey. This is my friend, and he is cold-blooded like we just said, but he's cold right now. He's been in his container back here, so he's cold. So what Harvey likes to do right now, he likes to cuddle with me. So the way that Harvey, my cold-blooded snake friend, and he is a corn snake, he is non-venomous, he will wrap himself around me and he will get warm. So he will use my heat from my body, and that's how he will warm himself up. There you go. And the warmer he gets, the more energetic he'll be, so the more movement you'll see from him. So they are very, very cool little critters. I've had this guy for about 8 years, and so he has done plenty of these programs with me, and he is just a delight. I enjoy him so very much. But they have just the wonderful adaptations to help them stay warm. But is my friend here, if he was out in the wild, would he be out there just living right there on the ground? Nope, he absolutely wouldn't. He would be finding some kind of shelter as well. Snakes cannot build a burrow on their own. They don't have any arms or legs, right? So they don't have any way to dig, but they will find abandoned insect holes or frog holes or some kind of other critter who's already made a hole and has abandoned it. He will find those turtle holes, little rodent holes, things like that. So he will utilize houses or shelters that somebody or something else has already made, and he will take advantage of that. So pretty smart, I'm thinking. Very good. So, do you guys like that? Have you noticed that we all do a couple of different things that are the same and a couple of things that are different from everybody else? The two things that I see that every breed does, every animal group, is they will huddle. We all have to huddle together. It is very advantageous to live in groups. So we have fun doing that. He's got a hold of me. He loves me. And we all will find shelter. So as you see today, I made my shelter. So one of your fun-tivities today is to do just that. So when we're done today, I challenge you to go and build your own shelter. Listen, that will keep you and 3 other people warm. You see how big mine is? I can share. I can share with my buddy right here and about 3 other people very comfortably. So I want you to make a shelter that will fit 3 people. Now, don't get in trouble and use only materials that you're allowed to use. You're very welcome to go outside and make a shelter out there as well. But think about it first. Think about your design. Think about which way you want to put it, what materials you want to use, and then just have some fun. I like it. I want to do one more fun-tivity with you guys today before we go. So we talked about all kinds of different, and I'm going to use my thing here. We talked about all kinds of animals and what everything does to stay warm, their body parts and things like that. And so we're going to do a real quick activity to just see which one would be the warmest. Okay, so we're going to take a couple of different materials. We're going to put them on our fingers. We're going to put them in ice water, and we're going to see which one works the best. Now, so while I put Harvey up, I want you guys to go and collect some materials. And you guys can collect whatever materials that you want to try to see. But I have a cotton glove. I have a wool glove. I have lard that's going to be just like fat. So think bear and his fat reserves. That's Crisco right there. Okay, so I've got lard to simulate fat. I have just a piece of foil we're going to try. and I have a piece of rabbit fur. Okay, now you might not have those things, but you have socks, you have mittens. Now go get an old mitten, okay, that just you've lost one, and so you've only got one, so go grab that. Grab some cotton balls, maybe a paper towel, a wash rag, foil. So anything that you might want to see just how warm will that keep me. So go get that, and I'm going to pull Harvey out of my shirt, and then we will be right back. Thank you, my friend. Okay, my friends, you have all of your materials? Good. So what we're going to do, thank you, my friend, and we'll put that around him to help him stay warm. Okay, the first thing that we need to do, because once we get our hands covered, we're not going to be able to do it. So what we're going to do is we need some ice water in a bowl. Okay, so I have some ice water. I'm not going to have the ice, but I'm going to have the cold water. Oops, I'm making a mess, but that's okay. Good. It's a good thing I'm not going to get in trouble for making a mess. Okay, so we're going to need our cling wrap. Now we're going to need to tear those into strips, and it doesn't matter. I don't have my scissors with me, which is okay. I'm just going to tear them. So you're going to tear however many, if you want to do 4 or 5. I'm going to try 5. I'm going to stick all my fingers in like this, okay? But what we're going to do is we need 1, 2, because we're going to wrap them around our fingers. 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we got 5 things we're going to wrap around our fingers. But first, we have to put our warm weather things on. So the first thing I do, I'm going to wrap the fake fur around, and you guys can start wherever you want. And then I'm going to wrap my finger, so it helps keep the finger and the material dry. Does that make sense? So I don't have to get my fur all wet. Okay, looks like that. Okay, then I'm going to take just a little piece of paper, just a little piece of foil. Now I'm just going to wrap it around my finger. Now I'm going to take another piece of foil or plastic wrap and just wrap it. And I know it just looks funny, but that's the fun part of it, isn't it? Look at that, fun. And then I'm going to take some lard. Now remember, lard, that's just like bears and things like that. When they eat a lot during the summertime, they're building up the fat reserve, so they will have something to live on when they are sleeping all winter long. So, ew. So I'm going to get some, and it's quite all right just to get goopy and goppy and gumpy, and I have a towel, so we're good. And then we're going to take another thing and we're going to wrap it just like that. That feels so awesome too. So much fun. So much fun. Now I'm just going to take, and I put the gloves on the back side, so I'm just going to shove one in just like that. See, that's all you got to do. Look at that. Put a wrap around it. And you look silly. So much fun. So much fun. And then I have a wool one. So this is made out of cotton and this is made out of wool. So I have two different type of materials. So we're just going to put it on like that. And wrap it one last time. And of course it had to stick. That's okay. There we go. Look at that. And wrap that one last time. Okay. You might have to ask for help. I'm doing this all by myself. So sometimes you just got to make it as best as you can. We got it. Okay. Look at that. Ah! Little bit fun, don't you think, my friends? I like it. Okay. Everybody have their fingers wrapped? What we're going to do is we're going to put all of our fingers into the water and we're going to count to 20. And I want you to be observing which ones are working better for you. And again, you might have the same ones I do. You might have something different. Okay? So, you ready, my friends? 1, 2, 3. Oh, well. Oh, okay. Some's working better than others. What are you seeing there? 1. Help count with me, sir. I got cold here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I'm cold, 17, 18, 19, 20. And let's pull them out. What? Okay, my friends. Wow, wow, wow. Well, I'm going to tell you what. My rabbit fur, I love it, but it didn't work very well at all. Okay? My foil, that was one of the better ones. My wool sock, my wool sock was pretty good. I liked that one. My cotton sock or glove, that one worked. It was kind of cold. So here, the one that won was the fat or the grease. Just like blubber, whales, things like that, when they swim around in the ocean and stuff like that, they need that to help them stay warm. So here is the way that I ranked mine, friends. Okay, and I'm going to go from the worst to the best. So the fur or the rabbit was the worst. The cotton, excuse me, I made a mistake. The rabbit, no I didn't. The rabbit was first. The cotton, the wool, then the foil, and then the best material to keep warm was the blubber. And that just slid right off. How cool. Nice. All right, my friends. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And I hope that you go make your awesome shelter and have a good day. It is all the time I have for today. So I will see you next week, my friends. Come back and join me. And please, when you make your shelters, please post them on my Facebook. I would love to see what you do. So go to facebook.com/naturallystem. Post what you've done and let me see it. Until next week, my friends, I will see you later. Bye.